2012 regular meeting of the 34th Council of the City of Berkley. Ms. Prince, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Blanchard.
Here.
Councilmember Kadekel.
Here.
Councilmember Platt-Onson.
Here.
Councilmember Stedman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Turbrack.
Here.
Mayor O'Dwyer.
Here. First order of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Moved by Councilmember Kadekel.
Support.
Support by Councilmember Baker. Any changes or additions? Hearing none, Ms. Prince, would you please call the roll?
Blanchard.
Yes.
Kadekel.
Yes.
Platt-Onson.
Yes.
Stedman.
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
O'Dwyer.
Yes. The agenda has been approved. Now I see Reverend Tal Sullivan here with us. Would you please stand for the invocation?
Let's bow and pray. God of heaven and earth, tonight as we begin this Berkeley City Council meeting, we approach you carrying mixed emotions. This is a season of celebration for so many. For my family and me, it's a special celebration of Christmas, where we remember your love, which was demonstrated by sending Jesus, the promised Messiah. There's incredible joy that we can experience because of your gift of salvation. Thank you. While we want to celebrate, there's also heaviness in our hearts because of the pain and devastation so many people are facing. We pray for those living in Newtown, Connecticut, as they grieve the loss of so many whose lives were wrongly taken on Friday. It makes no sense to us that someone would commit such an evil act. The Bible makes clear that you are not tempted by evil, and because you are holy and just, there is no evil in you at all. The events of Friday grieve your heart, because since your creation of man and woman, you only wanted us to experience good. But in our rebelling against you, we've experienced the knowledge of both good and evil. Please comfort the families and friends of each of Friday's victims. Provide them with peace and use what was meant for evil to bring about good. God, I also pray for the leaders in our community. Give each one wisdom to make decisions that will not only protect, but will lead our community in what is pleasing to you, since you are the one who is our ultimate protector. I thank you for the promise you give us to be an ever-present help in times of trouble. As we conclude 2012 and move into a new year, I pray your blessing on all of our city officials and public servants. Bless them and their families and help them to know you in a deeper way. It is in the name of your Son, Jesus, whom I celebrate this Christmas, that I pray. Amen.
And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we come to the Citizens' Comments portion of tonight's meeting, when you may present your thoughts on issues that are not included on tonight's agenda. Council members will not engage you in discussion. If your concern needs to be addressed by a member of city staff or a department of the city, please sign your name on the sheet provided at the clerk's table. You may speak on a specific agenda item when it is being considered. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and city of residence.
Here we are. Okay. Of course, Rick Eschman, Berkeley Public Safety Department. Tonight we're going to promote Officer Corey Miller to the rank of sergeant. Corey came to us 6 years ago And he was a person that had 6 years of police experience at that point, along with 11 years of fire experience. He was a captain in the Carroll Fire Department. He's a state-certified fire instructor, and he is a Berkley resident. For 5 years, Corey has demonstrated a unique combination of police and fire skills. And he's done that academically as well in hand-on situations. There's a big difference. He has both of those. Today, he has been transferred temporarily to the Detective Bureau. He brings pre-existing investigative experience and unquestionability. Corey is a person of extraordinary integrity and principle. He's a team player. Younger officers look up to him for advice. He has compassion, common sense, and great people skills. He has all of the tools. I am certain that just as he has served admirably for the past 5 years as a public safety officer, he will continue to do so as a supervisor.
And repeat after me. I, Corey Miller,
I, Corey Miller,
having been duly appointed
having been duly appointed
as Public Safety Sergeant
as Public Safety Sergeant
for the City of Berkeley,
for the City of Berkeley,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Charter of the City of Berkeley,
the Charter of the City of Berkeley,
and that I will perform the duties
and I will perform the duties
of my office
of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to the City Council, City Manager, Chief Etchman, Deputy Chief North. I hope to complete this job very professionally and hope to continue on in the City of Berkeley. I'm a proud resident and just very fortunate to work for this department. I think we have a great department, so thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. Clearly, Sergeant Miller is not only looked up to by the younger officers, but admired by the senior officers, if we are to judge by the turnout here of support to honor his swearing in. And we are very fortunate as a city to have such a fantastic public safety department and such personnel that can be promoted like Corey Miller. It's a blessing in our town. So thank you to our public safety department and congratulations to Corey. Next, anybody else for public comments? Very good. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Ms. Prince, would you please read tonight's consent agenda?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes. Matter of approving the minutes of the regular City Council meeting on December 3rd, 2012. Item number 2, approval of the warrant. Matter of approving warrant number 1261. Item number 3, recognitions and presentations. Presentation honoring the City of Berkeley's Commercial and Residential 2012 Holiday Spirit Awards.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Stedman with support by Councilmember Baker. Ms. Prince, would you please call the roll?
Kadeco?
Yes.
Platt Onson?
Yes.
Stedman?
Yes.
Turbrack?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Blanchard?
Yes.
O'Dwyer.
Yes. And now, Ms. Prince, would you read item number 1 on tonight's agenda?
Recognitions and presentations. Matter of any recognition or presentations from the consent agenda.
Well, we have recognitions coming up. Mr. Sessa?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I'd like to ask the Chair of the Beautification Committee to step forward and recognize these individuals who we feel are very deserving of the 2012 Holiday Spirit Awards. Now, Daniel, forgive me for not pronouncing your last name. If you don't mind,
That's fine. It's Dan Mihaescu.
Mihaescu. I will keep practicing. Thank you very much. With that, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. So the committee reviewed over 30 nominations for the Holiday Spirit Award contest, and it was very difficult to actually come to a consensus, but we eventually did. And we wanted to have this contest once again to encourage other citizens in the city here to decorate their homes and to get us all in the holiday spirit, as well as to brighten up the city here during these dark months of winter. We realize that there's a great deal of work that goes into the setting up of these displays, and also expense in many cases, so we wanted to definitely welcome and thank the finalists who are here today. So first, we'd like to recognize the 3 residential finalists. If you'd like to turn off the lights or dim the lights, we can. So for the residential category, the family and home that came into 3rd place was the Jean family. They had a beautiful home, as you can see, with a great deal of lights that circumvented the entire roof line and windows, and we thought they did a fantastic job. Is there a representative here from the Jean family? I did receive a call earlier that I believe one of the little girls was ill, so we can
Get it to them.
proceed. 2nd place was awarded to the Pike family, and they had a beautiful display. As you can see, there was a countdown to Christmas and some music outside as well. So if there's a representative from the Pike family, please step forward and the mayor will give you your certificate. Yeah, you're welcome.
Congratulations to Pike. Thank you.
Congratulations. Nicely done.
Nice job.
And then finally, for the residential finalists, we do have a winner, and the winner goes to the Dagenais family. It's a gorgeous home, very classic, very well done, and they coordinated the display with their Christmas tree inside the home as well. So if there's a representative from the Dagenais family, please step forward, and the mayor will recognize you.
Appreciate that. Great job. Congratulations. Thanks. Awesome. Great job. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Great job.
Did she say the Pledge of Allegiance? Was she say?
Nicely done.
Nice job.
And Mr. Dagenais, before you leave today as well, there's a sign you can place in front of your home, so. And so let's proceed now to the commercial finalists. The 3rd place winner went to Farina's Banquet Center. They did a fantastic job with their display as well, with a beautiful wreath and reindeer circling the business. So if there's a representative from Farina's, please step forward.
Good job. Thank you. That's what mine is. Thank you. Great work. Nicely done. Excellent. Thank you.
Second place for the commercial category came to Amici's Pizza and Living Room. They're a beautiful display with the lights encircling their sign matched and provided a great ambiance there.
Congratulations. It's great.
Maureen, congratulations.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you. I
Nice
didn't know
job.
such a thing existed.
Nice job.
Outstanding.
Nice job.
And finally, for the commercial finalists, we do have the winner, Bagger Dave's. They had a beautiful display. It's a little dim there, but they had lights encircling basically that entire corner and all the trees and a beautiful wreath on the opposite side. Bagger Dave's? Is there a representative here from Bagger Dave's? Okay, I guess not. So as far as the contest, we did want to state that obviously there may have been homes that, or businesses that we did recognize or did not recognize, in part because of the nominating process ended at the end of February, or at the end of November. So for those rest of the homes in the city that were beautiful and did a great job, congratulations.
Yes.
Very nice.
Can I just add, it's been a long time since we've done this in terms of recognizing the people of Berkeley for all their decorations. So it's kind of like the first time, I know, in more than 5 years, okay? So it's been a while. The beautification committee, it's taken a while for us to, gather back together and come as one. But I'm so proud that they're coming together again, and we will we'll move a little bit further when it comes to the beautification committee, because I know a lot of people have asked about the beautification committee. So with that, if you don't mind, Council, I'm going to take a little privilege here. I know we have members of the beautification committee. Daniel, would you please help me in just recognizing them and telling the people who they are, please, if you don't mind? Dan is the chair of the beautification committee.
So once again, my name is Dan Mihaescu. My wife, Anela Mihaescu, is the secretary. Douglas Deeds as well is here. Timothy Constant is also here. And one of the members who is not present is Wayne Atfield.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, for all you do to, who needs?
Me.
Councilmember Steadman.
I just wanted to mention, I'm the council representative to your committee, but I haven't known when the meetings are since, in a few months. So would you please just send me an email through the city, and I'll be at your next one. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you all. And now we move to item number 2 on the agenda. Ms. Prince, would you please read that item?
Motion number M 7912, matter of approving special use approval SU 03-12, permitting an animal daycare doggy in the window at 2656 11 Mile Road.
Is there a motion to approve M 7912?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by
Support.
Councilmember Baker with support by Mayor Pro Tem Terbrack. Mr. Sessa.
Council, before I turn this over to our city planner, Amy Vanson, let me just go over very briefly what we're looking at today. For the public, please know that the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on November 27, 2012. Animal kennels and animal daycare establishments are special land uses and therefore do require a public hearing before the Planning Commission and also to receive final approval from the City Council. So the Planning Commission, I know our city planner will go into more detail, but they did meet and they did go over this request. And finally, the Planning Commission, final recommendation was they did move to approve this application with the following conditions. One, that a lot combination be completed. 2, a waste management plan be developed and approved by the Director of Public Works for the City of Berkeley. Also, that a 20-foot clear path be maintained along the rear of the building and a gate installed on the east side of the property. Council, please know that should this property be sold or transferred, the special land use approval shall cease. Okay, so with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Vanson to come up with, or at least summarize some of the more details regarding this issue. Thank you, Ms. Vanson.
Good evening. The Planning Commission actually had 2 items relative to this applicant. They had a site plan approval, which dealt with the nitty-gritty of where's the dumpster going to go, setbacks, parking, lighting, that sort of thing. And they have approved that with the conditions that Ms. DeSessa just indicated. They also held a public hearing on the special land use, which is essentially the idea of the use at this location. And what I had explained to the Planning Commission, if the site plan doesn't get approved and City Council approves the use, it still can't go in because it doesn't have an approved site plan. Likewise, if the site plan gets approved and you all don't approve it, we need both in order to have the business come in. There are special land uses are those that are not permitted by right It's not something that administration can just sign off on. It is something that requires a public hearing before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the City Council, and that's provided for in state law. There are a number of general points that all special land uses have to, that the Planning Commission has to consider, and those are that the proposed use will promote the use of land in a socially and economically desirable manner. The proposed use is necessary for the public convenience at that location. The proposed use is compatible with adjacent land uses. The proposed use is designed so that the public health, safety, and welfare shall be protected, and the proposed use will not cause injury to other property in the neighborhood. Now, state law also allows that you can state specific conditions. So, for instance, gas stations, we have a whole laundry list. Likewise, with animal daycare, we have a number of conditions as well. The outdoor area has to be more than 60 feet from a residential district. The animals are permitted outside only between 6:30 a.m. and 10:30 p.m., and the outdoor area shall be enclosed on all sides with a wall or fence at least 8 feet in height. And then we also do have under the animal section of our ordinance, commercial kennels and a number of issues that have to be met. And I know that the applicant is already licensed by the Oakland County Animal Control. So this is not a new applicant. He's been in business in the city of Berkeley for a while on 11 Mile Road at another location. And I'll let him speak to his business plan and so forth. But clearly, he is moving onward and upward, and business must be good. So he has found a building that is U-shaped. And it is U-shaped so that the building actually acts as a buffer to the residential districts to the north. And he is going to enclose the bottom part, and that's going to be the outdoor area. He is going to leave one part of it, as you can see on the site plan, that is going to be vacant. Initially, the building was going to be flip-flopped so that the business operations were going to be on the west side, and the vacant portion was going to be on the eastern area next to the former Quiznos and the former A&P, which is now the Beaumont Dialysis. They did discuss their business plans with the law office that is immediately abutting, and so based upon those discussions, they flip-flopped the building so that there is going to be more of a sound buffer. The area that's hatched on your site plan, Area A, will be vacant at this point. He does not have the parking to occupy it with a tenant, and he's well aware of that. I think that there is ample parking if a deal can be struck with the business, the property owner to the east. But again, that's going to be something they'll have to work out on their own as far as a joint parking agreement goes. So the area hatched is vacant, and the other two sides of the building would be occupied with animals. They have a small dog area, a large dog area, an old dog area. They've got it all. They have quite the psychology of which dogs and sizes and so forth that they went into in great detail. They do have some ideas as far as waste management go that are going to need to go through Oakland County as well as our own DPW. If it doesn't work out and they can't do what it is they want to do, they're going to put the waste in baggies and put it in the dumpster, which is what they've been doing. So that's the backup plan at this point. Let's see. The public hearing was held. We had one member present, the attorney, and I believe he's here this evening as well. And there were some discussions about soundproofing, the air gap that's between the building, and the architect for dogging in the window was present and indicated they do intend to do that, and it is marked on the plans. I think that's it. Do you have any questions specific to this, or should I surrender the mic and let the applicant talk?
Other questions for Ms. Fenson? Then you may be...
I will surrender the mic.
Surrender the mic.
Good evening. I'm not sure what else to add. Amy did a very thorough job of presenting what our plans are. We're very excited about this opportunity. It allows us to stay in the city of Berkeley. The current facility we're at, fortunately we have grown enough where it's becoming difficult. We're at capacity a couple of days of the year, and we hope to grow more and more throughout the future here. As mentioned, There were, we did flip-flop our site plan shortly before the meeting based on some conversations we had with Mr. Olsman, who would be to the west of us. And there are some sound considerations. We went and met with a sound consultant from the Waterford area. I'm very familiar with him. He's done a lot of work in the automotive business as well as residential and commercial work. My attorney and myself met with him 2 Fridays ago, and I just found out from him today that he's not going to be able to meet our timing needs because this is one of the issues with closing the building, our site plan approval, special use approval, financing approval, and I want to make sure we do any due diligence possible before moving locations with any new potential neighbors. So he understands our time constraints. I wish he would have told me that 2 weeks ago, but so we're starting over with a couple other suggestions. My architects found one, and then Mr. Colano suggested somebody from Ann Arbor. So we'll be restarting that effort. Other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have for us.
Any question from Mr. Ludzak? I have just one question, Todd. With regard to the conditions placed on this by the Planning Commission, you don't see any particular problem complying with those?
No.
I didn't think so. Any other aspects of this? Councilmember Cadecle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is more of a comment than a question. Mr. Lusick, I'm glad you decided to stay in Berkeley. You've been a part of Berkeley for many years, and we look forward to seeing you here many more years.
Thank you.
Councilmember Platt-Onson.
I got to see the whole presentation as I was at the Planning Commission meeting, but I just wanted to add that in terms of trying to find a property in Berkeley that would allow him to expand, I think he kind of hit upon the ideal situation here. The lot is deeper, the building shields dog noise from the neighbors. It's really set up, and there isn't residential right across the street either. So it's really set up well for this. So I'm glad he was able to find a spot, and if he was going to find a spot, this seems to be very much the right one. So.
Very good. Anybody else? Well, very good. Thank you, Todd.
All right, thank you.
I see the distinguished councilman from Huntington Woods in the audience, Jules Olsman, who will be a neighbor of this property.
I'll be the neighbor.
The neighbor.
Good evening to all of you. My name is Jules Olsman. I'm the owner of the law firm in the building immediately to the west of Todd's project. Let me begin first by saying I'm highly supportive of the project. I believe it's as you said, it's a good addition to the area. I'm glad he's staying in Berkeley, all of the above. But we have an issue that needs to be resolved, and I brought it to his attention when we first met, brought it to his attention last time, spoke to his attorney this afternoon, and the issue is noise. As you know, and let's talk specifically about your city ordinances and which ones apply. This would be Chapter 78, section under nuisances, 78.1, which states specifically that nobody can have anything that essentially interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property or tends to depreciate the value of the property of others. Now, I am confident that all these things can be worked out, okay? I'm not saying they can't be, but for you to do anything tonight, the ducks have to be in order, and they're not. And Todd and I discussed this. I'm not saying he's not going to do it. I'm sure he is, because I'm not going to let him do it if he doesn't, to be frank. But we need some sound engineering outside, because as you know, he's got a business where there's a lot of barking dogs, and I have a business that depends on quiet, as law firms essentially are. And and I'm confident we can work it out. I know his plan to utilize the building further east is fine, and I appreciate that. But still, the idea of a large number of barking dogs with resonating sound is an issue. And as I said, I'm sure it can be resolved. I'm sure there are ways to do it. But you don't have anything in front of you tonight that shows how they're going to do that. And that's the number one issue. His sanitation issue is a great idea. I think it's terrific. His plans for the frontage for the facade, terrific. All good for us on 11 Mile. I'm very supportive of anything that's good for 11 Mile, both in Berkley and in Huntington Woods, and this is. But we still have some significant sound engineering matters to deal with here. So I would respectfully say that this is a matter that should be tabled until that information is before you. I spoke to his legal counsel tonight, Mr. Reynolds, who was not asked to be here. I don't think that there's much disagreement on that point. I think before you consider it, you need to have all the facts. Once again, I'm sure it's all going to be fine. He's well within the due diligence period he has with the owner next door, the family of Mr. Wolf. Everything's going to be fine here. We just need to iron out these details, and I'd much rather be here tonight asking you to table it than appearing at a meeting asking you to reject it. So I'm not asking you to reject it. I'm just asking you to table it till this information is in. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a response?
How long would it be tabled for potentially? That's only one of my main concerns is we do have a due diligence period. Mr. Olsman stated he thinks we have enough time to get that done. I'm just not sure. We got the holiday season coming up. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to get some contractors involved and stuff like that. The alternative would be if we are having an issue. Again, I did commit to doing the studies. We have contacted people. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I mean, I would be foolish to go into a new facility without understanding what acoustically the issues are going to be. Acoustically itself, we're going to do our best to try to predict what's going to happen, and I hope we do a great job doing it, but it's not an exact science. I do know that in our discussions with Kalana and Saha, we did have some ideas that we talked about how we could predict what's going to happen. There are some issues where I'm not concerned about the inside noise because that building's vacant for now, and if anything does go in there in the future, it's not going to be dogs. The thing I am concerned about is possibly the outside noise. I don't know how it's going to project, where it's going to go, how much of it's going to be, and things like that. But we will do our best to do our due diligence beforehand. We have committed to doing that, and I've been here in the past, and I think I have lived up to what I have told you I would do, and that's my only response.
Well, that is certainly correct. Over the period of my time here on the City Council, every time you have come to the microphone, you have delivered exactly as required. So, Mr. Sessa, you had a comment.
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to suggest to the City Council that we do have some upcoming council meetings in January, which would be the first meeting in January, and then again in February if you wanted to postpone. I just don't know. Or you could perhaps consider, I know the city attorney might come up with better language where you could approve it pending receipt of this engineering review and perhaps approval from the, I would say, the city planner perhaps to take a look at. Again, just a suggestion, if you were looking in that direction, Your Honor, that's all. I don't know, Mr. Attorney, do you have any suggestions?
I'd rather table it if you do not want to pass it today. I don't think to approve it with conditions without strict guidelines, I think that would leave us open to some problems down the future. Because who's going to make that decision, whether those things would be sufficient for the neighbors or the city?
Like I said, my recommendation was the city planner, but I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Platt-Onson.
I have a question perhaps for the city planner or for Chairman Barnett, who is here. So my concern is that some of what we're starting to delve into isn't our responsibility. It's the planning commission's in terms of the site plan approval. So that is sort of my question in terms of process. I mean, the issue before us is not how the site will be configured, what the waste management will be, it's whether we think this is an appropriate use. So maybe you could just clarify that for us, please?
My suggestion, and the city attorney may certainly disagree with me, you could make it conditional on the sound study being completed, that he can't go in until he has a sound study completed. And then if the sound study has specifics for masonry walls and an air gap, for example, because they are proposing 3 masonry walls and an air gap at this point, if they want to put popcorn in between the walls, if that's going to be the thing that the acoustic expert says is really the driving force, then those specifics, if it's a building permit issue, would be worked out by administration based upon those recommendations, or if it's something that needs to go back to site plan for a revision because they need to, I don't know what, then if it's a site plan issue, it would go back to planning commission. Does that sound reasonable?
You could
Mr.
still
City
do
Attorney?
it as the city manager had mentioned, and just the way you did it. I just thought, from a different perspective, it's all nice to have everything wrapped up.
It absolutely
prior
is.
to it's being approved or not approved.
But I think you don't want to say that the city planner approved the sound study, because I think they have to do the sound study. And then whatever those specific recommendations are, I'm sure you're going to be sharing it with your neighbors as far as what needs to be outlined. And then those recommendations would need to be implemented. Does that does that seem reasonable? Otherwise, you're looking at postponing it to January 7th, I believe is the first
Right.
date. Or then it's the...
February 4th.
Or February 4th.
Would that cause a problem for you, Todd, if it were postponed?
I have to look to verify that for sure. I mean, I know there's an extension period, but I don't know if it would involve an issue like that. I think like a financing issue.
Right.
I know we have an automatic extension. I can't say for sure if I have an automatic extension for that type of issue. And I think the due diligence period ends toward the end of January.
Okay. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming out tonight and providing this information for us and with your additional responses here. I am comfortable with moving forward tonight. I think given the additional conversation around the acoustics, you mentioned in your initial comments that you've reached out to organizations and you had work that was in preparation to do this very study that we're asking for here tonight. And at the same time, I do want to ensure that due diligence is properly conducted with this. I think, as you've talked about the various aspects of the proposal here, it seems to all be in alignment with what we're looking for from our stated perspectives with the noted of the acoustics. And as you mentioned, you've started on that path. You have some additional contacts that you're actively pursuing. So I feel as though, and to the Mr. Mayor's point, that you've been very upfront with your intentions. You've been very thorough in following through on those. So if the will of council to add some additional conditions, I'd be open to amending my motion tonight. But I am comfortable in concept of moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Turbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, I would certainly agree with Councilmember Baker, who made the motion. I believe I supported the motion anyway, so I would have to agree. But, I don't want to delay the project, and Mr. Luzak, you have quite the history of working with us on a number of things, and as the mayor said, and as Steve said, you've always come through, you've always gone above and beyond. You've been a model business in Berkeley, and I have complete faith that you will do what you say you are going to do in regards to the sound engineering. So I am very comfortable passing it tonight with the, an addendum, however we want to add it on, saying that you will get that done and completed. I don't think we need to hold up the whole process. And my biggest concern really is that with only one meeting in January, if something happens, then you're stuck until February 4th. That's a major concern I have, so I don't want to hold it up, for a whole another month and a half if we don't have to do that. So I am comfortable moving ahead. Like the maker of the motion, I will agree.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilmember Blanchard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sir, is there an acoustic firm that you're contracting with or talking to that can do this? And if so, what is their timeline?
Kalana and Saha was the firm that we had made contact with, and that was the firm who told us today that they won't be able to meet our timing. So we're starting over. We're going to have to scramble and try to get this done quickly.
Are you using the same firm again?
No, they can't meet my timing.
They can't do it.
They will not meet the timing. I appreciate the fact he told me that. It would have been nicer a while ago, because we certainly could have reached out to someone else at the same time. But that's where that stands.
Very good. Anybody else want to weigh in on this? Councilmember Pat Onson.
In case I wasn't clear, I'm comfortable moving forward with my colleagues here as well. I think that's a good direction that stays in keeping with what our role is in this process.
Very good. Any other comments, points to be made? Very good. So therefore, the motion now is the motion with the additional condition that a sound study and its implications be pursued by the applicant.
Do we need actual language, or can we work off
We-
Ms. Vanson's?
We can work off Ms. Vanson's comment about it's a sound study, whatever that entails, as it relates specifically. Ms. Vanson, maybe you have
Yes,
specific
I was
language.
gonna- I had written a sound study with recommendations be completed and provided to the city. So that does need, and just so everybody at home is clear, that would need to be provided. They're going to be working on their building plans, so we're going to have a lot of concurrent things going on. They're not going to be able to open until we have that, and those recommendations are either brought to the Planning Commission or they are incorporated into the building permit plans.
Very good. Mr. Sessa.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask that they be sent directly to the city manager's office? This way I can process that matter quickly, so that if it does need to go back to the Planning Commission, it'll go there immediately. So just to be, for clarification and direct.
Okay.
Please, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very good. So before we call the roll, then everybody is clear, excuse me, everybody is clear on the motion on the floor. Okay. Ms. Prince, please call the roll on M7912.
Platt Onson?
Yes.
Stedman? Yes. Turbrack?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Blanchard?
Yes.
Kadeco?
Yes.
O'Dwyer?
Yes. Now, Ms. Prince, would you please read item number 3 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M, 81-12, matter of approving a special use approval, SU 04-12, permitting an office use for RDS Tech, Inc. at 3125 12 Mile.
Is there a motion to approve M 8112?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilmember Blanchard,
Support.
support by Councilmember Turbrack, Mayor Pro Tem Turbrack. Ms. DeSessa.
Council, the only thing I'd like to add on this item is that the Planning Commission held a public hearing on December 11th, 2012, to hear this item, and I will leave this matter to our city planner to go into more detail, but as has already been read, this matter was moved to the city council to deny. And obviously, in this case, the city council has the final say on special land use considerations. So with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Vanson, just so that she can give us a summary as to the primary issues regarding this case. Ms. Vanson.
Hello again. Planning Commission held a public hearing. Some of you may recall, and you do have my report, so folks watching at home that don't have my report, in 1999, we had 2 business districts in the city. We had local business that covered 12 Mile Road, most of Coolidge, and then we had a Woodward Business District that covered most of Woodward except for that portion that's in the Oakland Manor subdivision that is zoned office and is under deed restrictions. In 1999, the Downtown Development Authority had a study done, and analyzed the uses that were currently, all the businesses that were currently in the DDA, which comprises 12 Mile, both north and south between Greenfield and Coolidge, and Coolidge between, both sides between 12 Mile and 11 Mile Road. And what that study found was that we had too many office uses, and the study was very ambitious and said we should prohibit office uses and only allow retail in that entire district. And that was brought to the Planning Commission, 1999, thereabouts, and the Planning Commission went, well, you know, we have these parking problems, though, that we keep hearing about, and that if we require retail or restaurants and they don't have the parking, where are we going to be at? So what the Planning Commission said and recommended, and eventually it was in 2001, the City Council at that time enacted a new ordinance. So what they did was they carved out of that local business district that I just described to you, areas that under our parking ordinance already had municipal parking credit. Any property that's within 500 feet of a municipal parking lot has municipal parking credit and does not need to supply their own off-street parking, which is otherwise required by law. So within that area that was already existing, they carved out this downtown district. And they wanted to use those municipal parking lots as much as possible, and retail and restaurants are more parking intensive under the ordinance than, say, office uses. And since we had this asset of municipal parking, let's use it. And so that was the background on how this most restrictive of our business classes came to be. So it's on both sides of 12 Mile. It's about 4.5 blocks long on either side, north and south, and then there's a portion on Coolidge that's 3 blocks, and it's only on one side of Coolidge because we only have municipal parking by Dorothea on the one side, and that's another requirement is you can't cross a major thoroughfare. You have to be on the same side of the street as the municipal parking. So I told you all that to get you to this point. So here we are, we have a downtown district, most restrictive class. That means that office uses, they are permitted, but they're that special land use that I just talked about, that state law says you can have special land uses and they have to meet these extra requirements. And those are, proposed use will promote the use of land in a socially and economically desirable manner. The proposed use is necessary for the public convenience at that location. The proposed use is compatible with adjacent land uses. The proposed use is designed so that the public health, safety, and welfare shall be protected. And the proposed use will not cause injury to other property in the neighborhood. The property in question is Spectrum Photo. It's bright yellow. There are 2 storefronts. You have storefront 1 before you. Right now, it's the 1,200 square foot one. It's the smaller one that's immediately abutting Catching Fireflies. And we had a business office use. They do web development and advertising that was interested in coming in. They are Berkley residents. And it's Planning Commission was very thrilled to have a business wanting to locate in the city. They're currently in Livonia, and they want to relocate so that they can walk to work. In no way do we want to discourage businesses coming in, but the feeling on the Planning Commission was this was not the right business in this location, that there are other spots that are available that are 2 blocks to the west, also on 11 Mile, also further down on 12 Mile, Woodward and Coolidge, that they would welcome these folks, but this did not seem to be the right use in this particular location. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, or Chairperson of the Planning Commission is here as well.
Any questions? Mr. Sessom?
Just one comment, Your Honor. I'm sure you've seen this. It's been laid in front of you. There is a petition signed by 18 business owners in our community in the downtown business district, and they've signed this petition requesting denial of this permit. We also have with us this evening the chairman of the Downtown Development Authority, Mr. Alan Simonian, here as well. So just to recognize him and help me answer any questions that council may have. So with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Any discussion in the council? I know that all of you had the opportunity to either attend or watch the discussion of this item by the Planning Commission. Is there anybody here for representing the applicant? No. Does the chairman of the DDA wish to make a comment?
I really come here with three hats tonight, as an independent business owner, as the chair of the DDA, and also as the president of the chamber. As an independent business owner, I would want businesses to come to Berkeley and be located in Berkeley, although I am not certain as to what location, because we've got lots of locations available. As the chair of the DDA, I fully support the Planning Commission. It is the desire of the DDA to develop a downtown shopping district. And I have to say, as president of the chamber, the chamber members really would like to encourage having a shopping district, particularly because there are locations very close by that would make a suitable office space. And I respect the fact that we have certain districts in the city of Berkeley. I affectionately call the bakery district, where we have got several bakeries. We've got the dairy district, where we've got 2 ice cream places. I think it's completely okay to have an area that is shop-centric and has retail stores, because it's helpful and supportive of each other. So that is what I'd like to say.
Very good. Thank you, Alan. Anyone else in the audience want to add to that? I see a number of businesses represented here, and I'm assuming that your presence is in support of what has just been said. Are there any other questions, comments from the council? Councilman Baker.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all for your comments and background information on this issue here before us. As the liaison to the DDA, I can affirm the statements that were made. There was a DDA meeting last week where conversations were held about the nature of a retail district and the importance of creating a sense of place where folks can feel comfortable to park someplace and walk for a couple of blocks, enjoy, and maybe grab a bite to eat, do a little bit more shopping, those kinds of things. Conducive to the general character of our downtown. So it's, as I am comfortable denying, voting against this particular motion, again, to reiterate, at risk of overly repeating the conversation at the Planning Commission, this is in no way anything to do with the nature of the business. I applaud the creativity and the energy that they look to do. I hope that they would consider finding an alternate location in the city, because we'd love to have them, and the notion of walking or biking to work is attractive to so many of us, and I'd like to continue to support that. And I did a little bit of research and asked for some additional information in terms of the available locations throughout our downtown area, and a list and 12 Mile, and there's a wonderful spread of retail and office. And the good news is, along Coolidge, there's at least 4 locations that are good for office use, and an additional 2 or more along 12 Mile. So there's plenty of there's good options out there for folks that are looking to move into an office space along our downtown. We'd welcome them to consider that and to stay here or to join us here in Berkeley. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional, Councilmember Stedman?
I just wanted to make a comment that I really believe that our Planning Commission, who always does due diligence when they're studying an issue, did a very good job studying this issue, and I will be supporting your recommendation.
Very good. If there are no additional comments, then, Ms. Prince, please call the roll on M 8112.
Stedman?
Yes.
I know it was a...
I don't think you want to.
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No.
Turbrack?
No.
Baker?
No.
Blanchard?
No.
Kadeco?
No.
Platt-Onson?
No.
O'Dwyer?
No. Ms. Prince, please read item number 4 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M8212, matter of approving special use approval SU 05-12, permitting an office use for Andrew Agby at 3127 12 Mile.
Is there a motion to approve M 8212?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Councilmember Kadeco. Support. Support by Councilmember Blanchard. This is a similar issue to what we have just discussed. This is the 3,000 square foot portion of the property. It would appear to me that the same issues apply exactly to this property as the one we already voted on. If that is not correct, please say so. So are we ready to vote on this item then?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Ms. Prince, please call the roll on M8212.
Turbrack?
No.
Baker?
No.
Blanchard?
No.
Kadeco?
No.
Clyde Onson,
No.
Stedman,
No.
and O'Dwyer.
No. Now we come to, please read item number 5 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M8012, matter of approving the purchase of 2 Ford utility patrol vehicles for the Public Safety Department from Signature Ford, Owasso, Michigan, at $25,283 each for a total cost of $50,586 from Signature Ford.
Is there a motion to approve M8012?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by
Support.
Councilmember Blanchard with support by Mayor Pro Tem Terbrack. Mr. Sessa.
Council, one of the most difficult things I have as a city manager is to find the proper equipment for use by our staff. And I will tell you that when it comes to public safety vehicles, there really isn't a place where you can specifically go buy police vehicles. So many times we find ourselves taking whatever is out there and modifying them to meet our needs. Now, for the city of Berkeley, the other thing that makes us a little bit more unique is the fact that we are a public safety department. And that means that our officers have to carry more equipment than what the normal officer does in terms of, whatever, and not just police equipment, but they'll also have to carry fire safety equipment. So that is a big difference. I'll tell you that when I met with Chief Eshman on this issue, that because we're recommending something totally different than what we've ever done in the past, I think I really put him through the ringer on this one to make sure that this is something that would certainly benefit the city of Berkeley. For many, many years, most police and public safety departments have utilized a vehicle known to us as the Crown Vic. And for whatever reason, the vehicle manufacturing company decided to no longer make those. So for us as government entities, obviously that left us a little bit in the lurch, and so it sent us out to look for a different type of vehicle. So with that, I'd like to, before I turn it over though, I am recommending the recommendation that's being presented this evening, City Council, and I'm also letting you know that this item is budgeted and it is within our budget, so we are recommending it to you as well. But with that, I'll turn it over to our Director of Public Safety, Chief Eshman, and have him explain in more detail as to how this new vehicle is going to work, and then also give us a little bit of comparison as to what are some of the new things and some of the positive things this new vehicle will have. So Chief Eshman, thank you.
Okay. As Mr. Sessa indicated, Ford Motor Company no longer makes the standard in the industry, the Crown Victoria. The Crown Vic has been probably 80-90% of police vehicles throughout America for many years. One thing it did offer us is 20.4 cubic feet of storage space in the trunk. We have to get in all the turnout fire gear, hydrant wrenches, ballistic shields, stop sticks, medical equipment, and the police radio system has to go in there first. So it was crammed as it was. Now the sedan alternatives to this, the largest is 17 cubic feet. So we have to have something a little bit larger. Only the Ford police utility vehicle offers an adequate amount of space. It offers 45 cubic feet, of which about 24 of the cubic feet is below the window line, out of sight. So it's really the only one that would be suitable for that purpose. It, of course, comes with a police package, which means, and I have Officer Mike Garnett here, who is my car guy. I'm not a mechanical type, but Mike is, so if I misspeak, let me know. Okay. The police package comes with enhanced suspension and braking systems. The electrical system is a lot more potent so that it can handle all the computers in the car and all the other ancillary equipment. So that's how you get a police package. So it is emergency or pursuit rated. So it's good at speeds, it's good in turns, it won't roll over, that sort of of issue. Police packaging also indicates a lack of goodies. You don't get all the trim packages and the leather seats and the consoles and all sorts of things that typical sport utility vehicles come with. So we're the toned-down version. The comparison vehicles, again, are not going to be adequate. The Crown Victoria got 14 miles to the gallon. This gets 16 in town. So it's more than the Crown Vic got, and only 2 less than the highest competitor. But again, the competitors, to be redundant, don't have the trunk space. Visibility is an issue. This vehicle sits a foot higher than the Crown Vic sat, so officers are up a little bit. With so many sport utility vehicles on the road, it's handy to sit up a little bit higher to be able to see past them. So that's basically where we are. The price is competitive with the other vehicles. In fact, it's below the sedans. We're getting it from a Ford dealer in Owasso because that's where the bid list is housed. Macomb County, through the state, bids these prices, and we hook on to that. Is that?
Just so that you also.
Can you get to Mike?
Sorry about that. So that you'll also know the vehicle is a 6-cylinder, not an 8. The nearest competitor is a Chevy Caprice, which is a 385 horsepower V8, which we don't need here. It's all-wheel drive, which is a huge, huge safety factor. I've driven the car. I've driven the car at the Ford Proving Grounds. Pleasant Ridge just took delivery of one, and I drove that yesterday. The chief had an opportunity to drive it, so we know that we're talking from experience. In a perfect world, Ford would still make a Crown Victoria. When we used to get 2 new Crown Vics every year, nobody but us knew that because they never looked any different. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen due to the airbag requirements for side curtains. Ford can't redesign the car and make any money on it, so they dropped it. One of the huge advantages, Ford warranties the powertrain for 100,000 miles or 5 years. This is a huge, huge thing. They've never done that before. So every expensive item on that vehicle, engine, transmission, the all-wheel drive part of it, and both differentials are covered for 100,000 miles. We try to keep our cars 80,000 miles is the turn-in point for safety and for resaleability on them. Unfortunately, with today's economy, many departments are now running 120 to 160,000 on their cars, and it shows. They're not safe anymore. The storage is huge for us too, because right now we're getting damage to the equipment that's in the trunk because we're piling it in there, and we're literally cramming the trunk shut. The trunks are lower, which means the guys are practically climbing in to get their gear out. There's a potential down the road for injuries. This car allows us to draw it straight towards us. It's at a waist level. And again, I wish that it wasn't that expensive, but the city's enjoyed for better than 10 years almost the same price every year for cars. Ford's not going to do that anymore. Every manufacturer has raised their price between 30 to 60% on their base models for police pursuit. So no matter which we go to, we're going to pay more. And that's it.
Well, it clearly shows that you've studied this very carefully and analyzed the market, the options, and came to this kind of decision based upon our needs in our town. Are there any questions for the chief or for Mike? Councilmember Platt-Onson.
I have a couple of questions. First is, these are replacing retiring vehicles, correct? These are not new add-ons, they're vehicles that were...
Replacing 2 that we're going to auction.
Okay. Sorry, I have a couple more. Okay. I'm also not a car person, as you can tell by all the stuff I say about bicycles, but bear with me a little bit. My understanding, obviously, with this type of an SUV is that, or
UV.
Sorry, the S is for sport, is that with the vertical space, you're losing some of that depth. And I don't know enough about the equipment to understand, is stacking it going to be an issue? How does that equipment work in a more vertical?
We did an actual comparative measurement yesterday from the edge of the trunk to the part where our equipment is mounted underneath the package tray, is a little over 2 feet, and it is almost 4 feet in the utility vehicle. So no, we won't be stacking it.
Okay, I just want to make sure there
It's a
wasn't going to be
4 foot
an
by
additional
5 foot
issue in
storage
getting
space.
anything. And then my last question is just about utility vehicles as a whole. I've been behind them when they did a maneuver on the freeway and watched them flip in a second and slide down the road on their roofs. You talk a little bit about, you mentioned something about a suspension package or something. That's all I know about cars. So could you talk a little bit about the safety factor for our officers?
Every year, the Michigan State Police conducts tests of all vehicles submitted by manufacturers for police use. It's a grueling test. Many manufacturers have gone away licking their wounds from it. The utility vehicle came in first in braking this year. It beat all the other cars. It did not come in first in acceleration, obviously, because you can't make a 3,000 or 3,500-pound car with a six-cylinder go as fast as one with a V8. But the rollover capabilities, or the rollover protection on the car is identical to the sedan, and the only way that vehicle is going to roll over is if it changes grade, and by that I mean if it's sliding sideways and hits a curb, obviously it's going to pole vault over, but to just turn the car at high speed, no. I can tell you, when I was on the Ford test track, I made a hard left turn as hard as I could crank the wheel at 60 miles an hour, and the car did not even lean enough to make me think it was going to roll over.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Turbrack.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I've been supportive of this for a little while once we started talking about it, primarily because of the space factor and that we are public safety. And to meet our needs, and to meet our needs as quickly and efficiently as possible, having that amount of space is critical. And when we were having this discussion back and forth, with council and staff, one of the things that seemed to come up, one of the cons, the negatives, was appearance or price. Are these going to be more expensive, and it's going to make us look like we're throwing money around? So the utility, the PUV that we're talking about right now, if I'm correct in these numbers, is going to actually be $900,000 less for the all-wheel drive model than the sedan?
900.
900, what'd I say?
900,000.
Well,
What did I say?
you said 900,000.
Oh, yeah,
But if you'd
sorry.
like to-
That'd be a lot. That would be a lot.
Spend it.
Yes. Either way, you get what I'm saying. It's savings. So either way, one, it's not going to cost us more. So if people see these and think the city is spending money without really thinking about it, it's completely not true. It's baseless. It's cost-effective, and it's practical for what we need. It seems to make sense. It gets good gas mileage. You mentioned the V6 versus the V8. We don't have a ton of freeway in the city of Berkeley where you're going to be going up around 80, 90 miles an hour, I hope, other than possibly a little bit on Woodward. So it does make sense to me. I'm very happy to see where the prices came in, because as far as I'm concerned, there are very few arguments. I can't really think of any arguments against it now that would really make sense. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'd like to make a couple of comments, also to address Councilman Planhouse's. These vehicles come with electronic stability control, which is something that's new in the last 3 or 4 years and has been integrated into the utility vehicles. And the computer controls the brakes automatically if the vehicle goes into a skid situation, and it makes it very hard to roll these vehicles over. And these come with that. It's very compatible with this type of driving that our people do. And as I said in our off-site meeting, we need this just for the room. If you've ever had to unload one of those cars or put stuff in it, So I'm fully supportive of this. I think it's a great thing to do. We'll save money on fuel and be better for the officers for visibility, and all factors, I believe, will be positive.
Especially $1 million cheaper, almost. Best deal.
Yeah, very good. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the in-depth presentation and for the tremendous research that went into this. You've answered all of our questions with clarity and confidence, and that means a lot to us because we know that you'll bring that confidence out into the streets to keep everybody safe and doing those things that you do so well. You answered all my questions in terms of the warranty, in terms of the reach. I think from an ergonomic perspective, I think that makes all the sense, easy in, easy out. My only remaining question was in terms of timing. If we were to move forward with this, when might we be able to expect a delivery of these vehicles and to help get them out on the streets?
I could not answer that with much more than to tell you I spoke with our dealer. I have been speaking to him since June. He said the last time I talked to him, 6 to 8 weeks. I'm hoping that's been moved up. But then we have the holiday shutdown that's coming next week for 9 days. So hopefully, if you approve this and I can get the order in, which I will do.
Right. So we'd want to stay in the front of that list as soon as we can
yes, we
to
would,
keep those moving forward. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm hoping, to be honest, I don't see it less than 4, but I don't see it more than 8.
Sure. Thank you.
Very good. Have we said all that has been said? I think you've done enormous research on this, but not just now, but over the years, Mike. You have brought an expertise
Thank you.
That has been valuable in our town, and we thank you for that. And we thank you now for this study, and I think, as Councilmember Baker said, answering our questions clearly and with confidence and no ambiguity, and I have no problem in the world voting yes on this one.
Thank you.
Ms. Prince, would you please call the roll?
Baker?
Yes.
Blanchard?
Yes.
Kadeco?
Yes.
Platt Onson?
Yes.
Stedman?
Yes.
Turbrack?
Yes.
O'Dwyer?
Yes. Thank you. And now we come to the communications portion of tonight's meeting, and I believe Councilmember Blanchard is up first.
Good job.
Let me get to my notes here. I even made notes for this, if I can figure out how to get to them. Okay. As the liaison to the chamber, I got to review their tentative schedule for 2013, and I want to tell you that there is a lot of great chamber activities that have been planned or being planned. And I would encourage any business that is not a chamber member to attend one of the chamber chats that are held on the third Friday of every month at 8 o'clock. It's a chance for the businesses to network with other businesses, find out what the chamber can do for them, and also to get a lay of the land, what they can get from business to business. And that's becoming a lot of member-to-member operations, and we've found that's becoming very effective in our city. The chamber chats are held at different locations every month, so you have to go on the chamber website and find out where they are. But again, it's the third Friday of every morning from 8 to 9, and I think it'd be very beneficial for any of the business in the city to attend that. On another subject, the horrific thing that happened in Newtown, Connecticut, I want to comment on that just for a second. It's hard to even talk about. It's such a horrendous thing. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody, to the families, to anybody that was involved. And as a first responder in Berkley, my thoughts are with the first responders out there, police, fire, and EMS. They had to resolve that horrific situation, and it's just mind-boggling. And our thoughts and prayers go out to them, and I hope that we here never have to have anything like that in our area. So,
Thank you, Jack.
that's all.
Councilmember Stedman.
I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday season and a safe holiday season and safe New Year's Eve.
Thank you. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few quick things. Our Downtown Development Authority Board did meet last week, as mentioned earlier. They're reviewing the projects that are in flight, and they're beginning hard to believe, but they're already beginning the budgetary process for the upcoming fiscal year. So those projects, they're starting to work at the committee and subcommittee level on the projects that they see going forth. So I want to thank them and support them in their efforts to help revitalize and continue to promote our downtown area. The Historical Committee also thanks all those who joined us in the open house after the Holiday Lights Parade on that Saturday. They've done some remodeling in the museum, moved some things around, created some new exhibits and displays. If you haven't been to the museum before, or if you haven't been there lately, please consider visiting. They're open most Sundays from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and special appointments are also available as well. On the transit front, a few representatives from various from various communities up and down the Woodward corridor will be gathering together on Wednesday and taking a bus ride down to Cleveland. So Cleveland has one of the best bus rapid transit systems in the country, and it's been recognized on a number of different merits and things that it has going for it. Representatives from Berkley will be in attendance as well. And so it's a day-long trip. We'll be meeting at the zoo and going down to there, and we actually come back 12 or 13 hours later. So we appreciate the hospitality of the folks in Cleveland to let us experience there. It's called the Health Line, is their bus rapid transit system. And we have lots of questions, and they're looking forward to entertaining us there and helping us better understand this mode of transit. There's several different kinds of mass transit out there, and bus rapid is one of the leading contenders in our study, and it's something that we're very eager to see some additional hands-on experience of a real system that goes through a vibrant part of their city, and we're grateful to their hospitality for those of us to help participate in that study. And finally, it was Alan Cohen who once said, "Do not wait until the conditions are perfect in order to begin. Beginnings make the conditions perfect." And again, that was, "Do not wait until the conditions are perfect in order to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect." And that thought occurred to me as I think about the new beginnings that every new year offers to us. And so as we look to successfully conclude 2012 here and turn our sights and eyes on, and our hearts and minds into 2013, the conditions are here for us, right? It's our beginning and our opportunity to seize the new year and make it everything we hope it can and should be. So with that, I echo my colleagues' sentiments, both in sorrow for the recent events and also in hope for a safe and happy holiday season to all of us here and everybody out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Turbrack.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of quick items from the Parks and Rec Department. Actually, a lot of work has gotten done, and I don't know if a lot of people have known about it yet because we're kind of in the winter months now. Things are cold, but you'll certainly notice next spring the Tot Lot one has been gotten a huge facelift, drainage work. A lot of work has been done on the Tot Lot. If you haven't been by, go by there, check it out. By the time spring rolls around, it's like a brand-new park, and it's going to be fantastic. On top of that, Lazenby Park, the Parks and Rec Department, in conjunction with the Berkley Dads Club, have done a lot of work renovating Lazenby as well, and it will be ready in time for spring, for baseball season to come around. So those are two projects that have been moved along, even though it's been a little cold, a little chilly, but excellent work from the Parks and Rec Department. Also, Winterfest is going to be February 2nd. That's Saturday, February 2nd. Winterfest is a great success. It gets bigger every year. It's always one of those signature community events that we have now, we've had for the past couple of years, and there'll be certainly more details to come on that. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Holiday Season. Certainly be healthy and be safe. And like my colleagues before me, especially Jack, the tragedy that happened last Friday, for me as an educator who's a principal of a building, I have a daughter in that building, that is two of my worst nightmares. My child, losing my child and then having something happen like that in my school. It didn't really hit me. I heard about it on Friday and things were coming out, and over the weekend I had, my daughter turned 1, so there were things going on. But walking into my building today, it was so sad. And all day, it kept running through my mind was, okay, that buzzer just went off. Who's coming in my building now? What's going to happen now? And I know that's a reaction, and some people say that, there's going to be a lot of overreaction about this, and it's an isolated incident, and it can't happen here. Yeah, you know what? The people at Sandy Hook Elementary School said that too. Won't happen here until last Friday. The people in Newtown thought that. It's just one of the worst things that I can ever think of happening, and for that to happen to 20 children, it just breaks my heart. It's just, Jack looks at it as a first responder because that's where his background is, and mine is as a principal. And, would I be able to, what would I do? I mean, yeah, we've got, our plans in place and all those things, but if somebody comes in there who's got some mental issues going on and is wielding guns, how am I going to be able to protect my kids, my students, all of my kids? It's just, it's very difficult. It's a very difficult time for, I would assume, every school in the United States was going through those same kinds of feelings today. Administrators, staff, it's probably best for the students because most of my students are elementary and they really don't understand the gravity of the situation. And, I'm very thankful for that because it could have been much more complicated today if I have all these second and third graders or kindergartners asking all these questions about it, but they really don't know. It's the parents and it's the staff and the administrators that are the ones that are tasked with keeping the kids safe and secure. Just my thoughts and prayers are certainly with everybody in that community, all the families that lost loved ones just before Christmas. I can't even imagine the heartbreak that they're going through. It's just a terrible, terrible situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Platt-Onson.
I am going to just give a brief update on our on the bike summit that happened last week. We had several representatives from different organizations in different cities come out, and I know that a few of you were able to be there, but not everybody. So just to let you know some of the things that are happening in the area. They are working on bike route maps. Those will be available for Bike to Work Day in May. The city of Hamtramck is looking at installing bike lanes. Huntington Woods is looking at adding sharrows, so sort of building on those routes and marking those routes. And the Road Commission and county, I believe, both adopted complete streets policies. So the county, the surrounding cities are really coming together. There are multimodal plans happening throughout, and so we've got some good momentum to make the streets a little bit safer for everyone who chooses to walk or ride a bike. So just a brief update, and that's all I have this evening. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Cadecle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say that a couple weeks ago, I went to the senior luncheon over at Farina's, and I just want to thank Karen and Brooke and the Parks and Recreation Department for once again doing a wonderful job and having a great holiday party for the seniors. My colleague Councilmember Blanchard talked about first responders, and not too long ago in our own neighborhood in West Bloomfield, Officer Patrick O'Rourke was killed. And this Friday, the Detroit Red Wing Alumni Association will be playing various officers throughout the community in a charity game, with all proceeds going to the Patrick O'Rourke Family Trust to help his family. It's going to be at the CompuWare Arena in Plymouth. The opening ceremonies will begin at 7:15 p.m. The game will start at 7:30. Tickets are available at the various police stations: West Bloomfield, White Lake, Milford, Sterling Heights, Southfield, Plymouth, and Grosse Pointe City Public Safety Department. Also, I think you can go on the Detroit Red Wing Alumni Association website. And again, that's Friday, December 21st, this Friday. And I plan on attending that. Crispelli's, I want to congratulate them as being one of Metro Detroit's top 10 newest restaurants. If you haven't tried Crispelli's yet, I highly recommend it. And they have a great breakfast now in addition to their lunch and dinner. And in Hebrew, I'd like to say Chag HaMolad Sameach. Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate Christmas, and wishing everyone a happy and a healthy New Year. See you next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sessa?
Council, I would also like to express my congratulations to Corey Miller for being promoted to sergeant. I know you've seen quite a few lately. We've had some major changes in our department, but I think we're almost there. But congratulations, Corey. I too have seen you grow throughout the years, so, and this is a very special occasion. I know our city is safe. You know, when I sit here too, I have a little different perspective when I think about the horrific incident that happened in Newtown, Connecticut this past week. I see it as an administrator, as a city manager, one that we work very closely with our public safety department to provide the protection to our residents, and obviously the first responders, as Councilmember Blanchard said. Our city is so fortunate to have an amazing group of individuals to work with us. I know that early this morning I spoke with Chief Eshman to make sure that that we address this issue, and that we're communicating with the schools to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can. But council and to the residents out there, you know, I wish there was a way I could make everybody safe. I wish there was a way that no one would ever get hurt. And I want to assure the residents out there that we're doing our best. But things like this, unfortunately, there is no answer. But I'm hoping that that we've learned from this, and that we will move forward, and that our elected officials will work hard to make some changes that are perhaps needed, and we as administrators and city managers do our best to provide the proper security to our community. And with that, I'd like to wish the residents of the city of Berkeley a happy new year and a safe and prosperous holiday season. And I just going along with a little tradition that we have here, I will say in Español, Feliz Navidad, que todos tengan un próspero año nuevo. With that,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor.
Mr. Sabuda.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season. Enjoy your families.
Yes.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney.
I don't think I can top what Mr. Sabuda said. I think everybody has to enjoy their families, especially this time of the year, especially what happened last week. But I would also like to congratulate Corey Miller. I've watched him since he's been here 5-6 years ago. He impressed me back then. I know he's going to be an exceptional sergeant, just like Sergeant Hatfield. Chief Eshman picked some great guys. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the City Council and the families of the City of Berkeley, I called the mayor of Newton, Connecticut today. She is not called a mayor, she's called the first selectman. That's how they designate him in New England. I called to express our prayerful support for the anguish that they're experiencing, and assure them of our thoughts and good wishes as they struggle through this most awful, awful time. And so as we approach Christmas, we approach it with heavy hearts. The sadness of those families in Connecticut is our sadness too. The lesson I take from this tragedy is that mental illness cannot continue to be ignored and its treatment cut back every time we have budget problems in the economy. Neither can assault weapons proliferate without some restriction. I think sensible people can deal with both issues and reduce the chance that such unspeakable events can occur. The time has come for us to deal with both sides of this equation. Dealing with one side of it will not resolve it. Our culture is becoming, and has become for some time, too violent. And we need to learn more civilized ways to disagree with one another and find more effective treatments for mental illness. We cannot continue with the stigma and the hiding of people who could benefit from treatment and medication. And so, to all our residents, give your children an extra special hug. Thank their teachers and our school administrators for what they do. And to all our residents, may I say, Nollaig fé hain is fé washa yiv galéir. Have a very Merry Christmas. God bless you all. And now on that note, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Moved to adjourn by Councilmember Kadeckle with support by Councilmember Stedman. Ms. Prince, please call the roll.
Blanchard.
Yes.
Kadeckle.
Yes.
Platt Onson.
Yes.
Stedman.
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
O'Dwyer.
Yes. Thank you.
That was great. Merry Christmas.